Hello and good afternoon, welcome to Arrows of Indecision, and here is the finished hinged fiddle yard. So you'll have seen the construction in previous videos, but just to give you a quick overview, this is cheap Pico flat bottom track. I do have some bullhead track over here, but at this stage there's no need for that. This is a non-scenic area and the flat bottom track is a good deal cheaper. So in the previous video you saw me putting the point work down and drilling the holes and putting the feeds in, the power feeds underneath. So I think it's probably too dark, but underneath there, these are the power feeds. That's for the double slip, and those are all glued down using just regular PVA glue, and sparingly as well, because this isn't something that's going to get whacked. And so by soaking it, I can lift this track up if I need to relay it or do something funny with it. And there are obviously holes underneath each of these tie bars as well. So that track's all laid, and over here you saw last time, which I will zoom in on, I had some, these are PCB sleepers here, and the rail is soldered to those sleepers. I used a bit of card to raise them up a little bit. It's actually 2.6 mil from the surface of the baseboard to the underside of the rail, and these are only 2 mil PCB sleepers, so I needed to raise it up with a piece of card, and I used PVA on the card and then epoxy glue on the sleepers to fix it to the card. So this is fairly solid. Got some droppers here, and there'll be a corresponding set of droppers on this side because, as you can see, these are two separate boards. So the way that you create this hinged fiddle yard is essentially create a riser. So this here is the riser that raises the hinge off of the surface, because if you had the hinge down here, then when you tried to fold it over, it would probably cause this set of rails, when it folded over, to hit this set of rails. So you need something to raise it up. I didn't need to go this high. I could have used just a small piece of plywood or something. It only needs to be a total height of about 8 mil between the surfaces. But I thought this gives me a bit of clearance. I can put LEDs here and buffer stops and small buffer stops on the edge and have a decent amount of clearance. So that's that. After this was all glued on both sides and soldered, this is a single piece of rail, and the join is over here, not in the middle. And the reason the join's here is so that I can then cut through this section here with a razor saw, such as this, cut through the rail, and the rail will stay perfectly aligned. Because if you remember, these are glued and soldered, so these rails were perfectly in line, and then I cut them, which means I can now, with these hinges in situ, fold this board over, and there we go. So that's my hinged fiddle yard. Now the likelihood is this will probably stay unhinged and open for the majority of the time that I own this layout. It will be useful when transporting it, or if I decide that I want to take a break from this layout, I can then fold that, and it's a much smaller unit to stick in a cupboard or in the attic or in the garage or something. It'll be very useful when I'm transporting it if I decide to exhibit the layout as well. Also, it means I don't have to worry about mating up these boards with these dowels and joints. These are fairly expensive. They're machined steel dowels, and they're used to join boards which are ostensibly separate. And this just means these two are now a single unit, and I actually only join them on this end over here, and this is where the scenic end of the layout will be. So yeah, that's the majority of it. The wiring is only done on one side, as you can see here. So I'll be doing corresponding on this side, and be wiring them into terminal blocks that look like this. So underneath the baseboard, there'll be one on this side and one on this side where everything will feed into. The reason I'm doing that, rather than a bus wire that goes horizontally and having everything connect to it directly, is that I don't want to deal with the complexity of a bunch of joins to a single bus wire here, and also it means I can separate out the concerns. So because this is technically electrically isolated from this side, I can put occupancy detection on all of these tracks routed through a DCC occupancy detection unit over here, before I join the bus wires. So it just allows me a bit more flexibility. So that's how you do a hinged fiddle yard.